Bonjour, je m'appelle Audrey. Je suis de Richmond, Virginie, à États-Unis. Je viens un an. Je suis amusant, sociable, optimiste, indépendant et patient. J'aime dessiner, voyager et retrouver mes amis. Je ne veux pas tellement étudier la biologie et la physique.
I was really excited when I saw this part of the project because this is a song that I discovered in the summer. And what I really appreciate about it is how closely it follows the more bedroom pop style of music that I would normally listen to. What's so great about the style is that it originated from young artists with very little exposure. So platforms like Spotify, which is where I found the song, allowed them to upload their music and let it be heard around the world. The specific style has created a lot more of an international community of listeners surrounding it. Sometimes I know that it can be hard when music reaches across language barriers uh, for non-native speakers to relate to it and enjoy the music simply because they're distracted by the foreignness, quote unquote, of the language. However, I appreciate how the artist was able to kind of sidestep this barrier and still create a song that's really enjoyable and fun to listen to, whether or not you necessarily understand what the words mean. I first watched this movie in the spring and I immediately fell in love with it. It's now one of my all time favorite movies. The artistry of it is really breathtaking and you can see it in every single detail of the movie. And the story is captivating. You honestly forget that it's almost like 2 hours long. It's one of the very few LGBTQ love stories that I found that isn't really exploitative of the main characters. Uh, Heloise and Marianne's love story is it's simple and it's slow and it's beautiful, which is reminiscent of a lot of more I don't know, like straight love stories, I suppose. It's just something that's really hard to find. It is a period piece, however, and so the examples of French culture are not representative, obviously, of what they are in modern day. For example, Heloise, which is one of the main characters, she was originally sent off to live in a convent and was brought back after her sister's suicide so she could take her place in an arranged marriage, which obviously isn't something that happens too often anymore. Um, but the film takes place on the coast of France and looking over the white cliffs. Uh, and it's this movie is a really huge part of the reason why I really hope to travel more and get to see more beautiful places like where this was filmed. The first phrase that I chose is the title of the song, KVR, which is problem. And the entire song is kind of an anti love song. It's about a girl who fell in love with a guy and she realized he's not that great of a guy. So the rest of the song is just trashing him basically. And the next three phrases kind of tie into that. Tellement miserie, c'est l'amant l'envers. You're my misery, my world inverted. T'attends de amir, me sens un bruit. You've got so many friends, but no place to rest. Ta manchon rouge, l'étau quickle. Your red house, your dripping roof. And then the last one that I chose is from Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and it's Tenez Soir, which means turn around, and it's a reference to a Greek myth of Orphe and Eurydice. And in the myth, Eurydice is in love with Orphe, and she dies and gets sent to the underworld, and Orphe travels to the underworld and talks to Hades, and Hades agrees to give him Eurydice on the condition that he will not look at her until they return to the surface. And at the last moment, he can't help himself. He turns around and he looks at her, and she fades back into the abyss forever. And at the very end of the movie, Heloise is getting sent off to be married, and Marianne can't really deal with that, so she says goodbye and runs away. And right before she leaves the house, Heloise is standing there, and she says, "Tenez toi," and Marianne turns around and looks at her, and then she closes the door, and it's one of the very last times that she ever gets to see her. So it's tragic, but I think that the theme of it is really beautiful, and it was a really clever way to tie in a classic myth into a more modern movie. For my profession, I kind of just tied in a lot of vocab words that go with what my possible goal could be in the future. Because I'm a history major and I know that that's something I'd like to pursue, but I'm not really sure what direction that's going to go in. So I chose la littérature, which is literature, l'histoire, which is history, le lettres, which is humanity, which are all kind of related. In diploma, l'école, school, passer un examen, pass an exam, difficile, difficult, which again, all of those tie in together. College can be hard. And then in faculté, in professeur, which is I could see myself pursuing that title eventually, and no matter what, I would really adore to voyager as much as I possibly can, travel as much as I possibly can. I could see myself in that role.